What's up, everybody? You made it just in the nick of crime. We are doing the end of day recap for the Diddy trial. A lot of stuff happened. Cassie did, believe it or not, wrap up her testimony today. It's really quite impressive that that was able to be finished, because I didn't think that it would be. And we're going to talk about that as well as a few other things. And they were able to get 2 additional witnesses on the stand today. And we're going to talk about them as well. So let's just, jump kind of right into it real quick. Let me do this real quick. Make sure to subscribe on Substack if you don't already. We're doing I usually do my notes on Substack as well as kind of like an article. For my TikTok friends, YouTube and Substack, if you're coming in late, you need to see the middle of the day recap. I'm not saying that's for all of y'all. The midday recaps are already on YouTube and are out on Substack. For TikTok, anybody coming in late, Instagram, anybody coming in late, jump over to YouTube, jump over to Substack. You can see these all when we're done. And for people who are on TikTok right now, please hit that screen. Let's get that to 10,000 people or likes. 10,000 likes. 10,000 people would be amazing. But also know that there are going to be photos and things that I'm showing you that came from the case today. So if you end up wanting to jump over, you can do that. If not, you can just stay and listen if you don't care about seeing the pictures. That being said, let's get into it, because the defense had officially wrapped up its cross-examination of Cassie Ventura. Emily Johnson immediately took over afterwards the redirect, and we're going to talk about redirect in a minute. But before we do, just a reminder, like I was saying at the beginning, there were some concerns at the beginning that Cassie's testimony could stretch into next week. But as a kind of a surprise, after they got back from lunch, Anna Estavo, the defense attorney that was questioning Cassie, said that she would finish questioning much sooner than expected, before the next scheduled break, and she did succeed in doing that. The accelerated pace appeared to be in part to Cassie's cooperative demeanor through her 4 days on the stand. She consistently answered questions without pushback, rarely claiming she couldn't recall events, and even during periods of her life where she admitted she was struggling with substance addiction. Before lunch, much of the testimony centered on the end of Cassie and Combs's relationship, with jealousy playing a central role. The breaking point, Cassie testified, came in November of 2018 when she discovered Combs believed a woman he had been seeing during their relationship was his, quote, soulmate. I didn't see him again after that. Now, before I get into the cross, both Cassie and her husband made statements. If you were on Instagram, you might have seen these statements. I did them as posts. If you're not on Instagram, you haven't seen them anywhere else yet. These are pretty incredible statements. So let me read these to you, because they're really good, I think. So Cassie said this through her attorney: "This week has been extremely challenging, but also remarkably empowering. Let me start this over. This week has been extremely challenging, but also remarkably empowering and healing for me. I hope that my testimony has given strength and a voice to other survivors and can help others who have suffered to speak up and also heal from the abuse and fear. For me, the more I heal, the more I can remember. And the more I can remember, the more I will never forget. I want to thank my family and my advocates for their unwavering support. And I'm grateful for all the kindness and encouragement that I have received. I'm glad to put this chapter behind me, glad to put this chapter of my life to rest as I turn to focus on the conclusion of my pregnancy. I ask for privacy for me and my growing family," which I think, again, very nice, short, eloquent statement. I think it speaks to kind of what we've seen this week coming from her. Again, I'm going to say it. I've said it 100 times this week. You guys have heard me say it. She is a rock star. To be able to go up and say the things that she has said up there, with the entire world knowing, everybody's hearing what she experienced, what she went through, that is bravery. And my hope is that her doing this gives other people who have been in that situation the strength to speak up against their abuse or leave their abuser, because that's what's really important. And if one person ends up doing that because of Cassie, then that is a win for sure. Now, next up, her husband, Alex Fine, made a statement. And I'm going to read this before I give you my commentary on it. This went through their attorney as well, and this was read on behalf of the attorney, but here's what he said in his statement. "Over the past 5 days, the world has gotten to witness the strength and bravery of my wife, freeing herself of the past. There has been speculation online surrounding how it must feel for me to sit there and listen to my wife's testimony. I have felt so many things sitting here. I have felt tremendous pride and overwhelming love for Cass. I have felt profound anger that she has been subjected to sitting in front of a person who tried to break her. So to him and all of those who helped him along the way, please know this. You did not. You did not break her spirit, nor her smile that lights up every room. You did not break the souls of a mother who gives the best hugs and plays the silliest games with our little girls. You did not break the woman who has made me a better person. I did not save Cassie, as some have said. To say that is an insult to the years of painful work my wife has done to save herself. Cassie saved Cassie. She alone broke free from abuse, coercion, violence, and threats. She did the work of fighting the demons that only a demon himself could have done to her. All I have done is love her, and she has loved me. Her life is now surrounded by love, laughter, and our family. This horrific chapter is forever put behind us, and we will not be making additional statements. We appreciate all the love and support we have received, and we ask that you respect our privacy as we welcome our son into the world that is now safer because of his mom. This, if there are any men watching this, take notes. For you little trolls that like to come in here and pretend that you act like men and blame Cassie, take a look at this. Listen to it again, because that is what a real man, a real partner does. Stands by his wife, admiring her strength, putting it on the forefront and staying in the background when it is about her. This was such a beautifully put statement from both of them. Both of them. Both of them. So that's what I'm going to have to say on that. Now, how did Cross go? Before we get into the rest of this, how did Cross go? Well, the defense cross-examination is over, and the government has given the reins back to redirect. And they brought in a criminal expert defense attorney not connected to the case, said the cross went about as well as it could have gone, saying that they did what they needed to do in terms of confronting her with her text messages that undermine her claim that she was coerced. But it was also pointed out that win might be short-lived because now it's the prosecution's turn, or was the prosecution's turn at the time, to clean up any damage. The prosecution is going to clean up a lot of that on their redirect. Going on to say the prosecutors will likely use this phase to let Cassie explain why, even while she was sending affectionate messages and appearing to set up these encounters, she was still being coerced. They can go back over some of those text messages and allow Ventura to explain why, at the same time, she's having these text exchanges that some are loving about some things she did in terms of setting up these encounters, that she was nevertheless being coerced. He also flagged the biggest challenge still remains for both sides, which is convincing the jury to separate emotional testimony about beatings and abuse and threats from the actual charges he's facing, which is trafficking, racketeering, and transporting someone to engage in prostitution. That is extremely difficult for the jury, for any human, to be able to do. So that is what they're doing. Because remember, as much as we've heard, this is it's not a domestic violence case. But what I believe is happening, and I think what we're seeing, is that basically they're setting up for everybody else to come in. Cassie is the person who knows him the most, knows the inner workings of his business, his personal life, how things were. She was with him for the longest period of time. And she's able to set the stage and the foundation for the other people to come in and show how it ties into his business, ties into racketeering, ties into coercion and trafficking. And I think that we're starting to see this, because remember, guys, we are only a week in with a 8-week trial. And yes, we've had 1 or 2 witnesses, I think, prior to Cassie, but Cassie's been the only real witness that we've had in this whole thing. So the jury's still out, no pun intended. Now, let's talk about Cassie detailing what prompted the hotel beating. And real quick, if you're on TikTok, you won't see this unless you jump over, but I'm going to show this for you. These are the photos that for the last couple of days I've been meaning to put up and show y'all. These are photos from the hotel room the day of that beating. Or the hotel area. He threw a vase at her. There was stuff on the wall. So you guys can kind of see what that looks like. So basically she told the court that the violent assault in 2016, which was now in the video that we've all seen, happened after she tried to leave a freak off that had turned violent. She explained that she didn't want to show up to her first major movie premiere 2 days later with visible bruises. She said, quote, "It got violent and I chose to leave. I had my premiere. I didn't want to mess it up, so I left." That's what she testified. That's what she said. She also described how she waited until Diddy was in the shower, quickly gathering her belongings and ran barefoot to the elevators. He caught up to her, which explains why he was in a towel, by the way. She said, "Sean followed me into the hallway by the elevators. He grabbed me up, threw me to the ground, kicked me, tried to drag me back to the room, took my stuff." And we've all seen that video of when that happened. Now we know a little bit more background on it. Now, when prosecutor Emily Johnson asked how many times Combs had thrown her to the ground, like in the video, she said too many times to count. I don't know. She also added that she never tried to fight back during the attack because she was scared to do that. So again, you've seen that video. If you haven't seen that video, I can't help you. You'll have to go back and look at it on your own. But that explains why he was in just a towel. She tried. Think of this. She tried to leave while he was in the shower, get out, gather her things as quickly as she could before he was done to get away from her because of this reaction. She knew that's what he was going to do. So she also broke down as Prosecutor Johnson pressed her about the physical abuse she endured, using tissues. She was using tissues to dab her eyes. Cassie told the court about the abuse left her feeling worthless, like dirt, like she was nothing. She testified that early on she agreed to participate in these substance-fueled marathons because she wanted to make him happy and spend time with him. But over time, the experiences became traumatic. She said, quote, I worried for my safety. I worried for my career. She also feared that Combs would love me anymore. Then defense tries to deliver their final blow to the testimony. In her final moments of cross, Anastavo tried to drive home the defense's argument that Diddy might be guilty of domestic violence, which he's not charged with, which, I mean, I think that we can, I mean, even his own team is saying that he's probably guilty of domestic violence. But he's not guilty, but saying that he's not guilty of trafficking or racketeering. At least they're saying not yet. She even showed jurors Cassie's own words from an Instagram post that she made in May of 24 after CNN had aired that unseen footage of the assault, saying domestic violence is the issue. Yeah, I mean, that's not I want to come back to that. But then when pressed, Cassie said, well, there's more to it. And let me show you this right here. So here's where it says more to it. And so if you're on TikTok, you can't see it, but there's a copy of the text messages right here that they showed. Real quick before I get into that, I want to talk about what she said on that Instagram post. Domestic violence is the issue. Cassie's not a lawyer, right? She's not a prosecutor. She's not a judge. She's not a paralegal. They're saying domestic violence is the issue because that's what she experienced personally. Cassie's not going to say, I was trafficked, I was coerced, I was interstate travel to engage in prostitution, I was part of racketeering. I think, in my opinion, this was kind of a dumb move on the defense. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, this is a dream team of lawyers. I just expect more, I don't know. Anyways, but this is one of the final pieces of evidence she pulled out was this text, which was written back in 2012, where Cassie wrote, I don't want to freak off for a last time. I want to freak off for the rest of our lives. Basically, I don't want this to be our last one. I want us to keep doing it. So Estavo ended her questioning by having Cassie read another set of text messages from the same period, aiming to show the jury that she was a willing participant in what the defense has described as the freak-off lifestyle. All right. In September of 12, the exchange between the two of them said FO one last time tonight using the initials freak-off. This is the whole text on this. She said, what? You can't, and he goes, what? You can't read? Or you can't read. Sorry, not what you can't read. She said, what? I don't want to freak off for the last time. I want to freak off for the rest of our lives. So that's where she ended her questioning, right? That's where she ended her questioning. However, during the redirect examination, the prosecution had Cassie read additional parts of the same conversation to provide fuller context, where Cassie told Combs, I want to see you, but I'm emotional right now. I don't want to do it last time. I'd rather not do it at all. So again, they showed a portion of the message, not the whole thing. And you can see that it is obviously makes it complex because in one, she's saying, I'd rather not do it at all. The other, she wants to do it for the rest of her life because she wants to be with him. And she feels that's the only way she can be with him. So now let me show you some other texts because we're going to switch gears and talk about Kim Porter for a moment and some jealousy because this was right after the death of Kim Porter. Again, TikTok, if you're coming in, you can't see this unless you're on YouTube, and that's okay. If you don't care about seeing it, you can just listen. So during cross, this was still during cross, not for redirect at this point. Diddy's defense team presented a text message Cassie sent just 4 days after Kim Porter's sudden death in November of 18. The defense sought to portray Cassie as a jealous ex-girlfriend who felt overlooked during their 11-year relationship, never receiving the recognition or status that she wanted. In the messages, let's see if this is the one I want to see real quick. Bear with me. So anyways, I'm trying to make sure I have lined up here. So in a public tribute, Cassie confronted Combs about a public tribute he posted for Kim Porter, where she wrote, you posted Kim was your soulmate. What was the 11 years all about? That hurt my feelings. At that point, their relationship had already been unraveling. It was long after the 2016 incident, and after years of Cassie, as the freak offs with him. And this was following Porter's death, which was unexpected, caused by pneumonia. Combs took to social media, posting a tribute that read, quote, "We were more than best friends. We were more than soulmates. We were some other shit. And I miss you so much. Super black love." That's what Combs wrote in his Instagram post. And she had previously admitted in court that she would get upset when Combs spent the holidays and vacations with Porter and their children instead of her. Right. Then moving on to the next part, she acknowledges consensual weeks after the alleged R. Okay. So I hate that we have to do the abbreviation things for social media. It just, I feel like it's like we're adults, we can handle it, but whatever. Under cross, Cassie acknowledged that she and Combs continued to have consensual relations in the weeks following the alleged R in 2018. The defense attorney had Cassie read aloud a series of text messages exchanged between them during a period after their breakup. In one message, Cassie wrote, "I do love you. I would just prefer not being one of your girlfriends anymore." A few weeks after the alleged incident, Cassie messaged Combs again, saying she was choosing to move on for the sake of her own mental health. Combs replied, "I respect your sanity. It's best we keep it moving. I'm not a stalker." Cassie admitted these messages made no mention of that R. The defense used the exchange in an attempt to undermine her allegation that Combs had forced her at her LA home after a dinner in Malibu meant to discuss the end of their relationship. The defense also highlighted discrepancies between Cassie's current testimony and what she told investigators in 23. On his demeanor during the dinner, the trial testimony, she said he was being really nice, playful, laughing, and giving off kind of romantic vibes to investigators in 23, not 03, 23. She described Combs as acting very strangely, anxious, and not in his right mind, and possibly showing signs of bipolar disorder. On cross, clarified, nice, but strangely, yeah. Like he was acting nice, but strange. On the timing of the alleged assault, during the trial testimony, she testified that during the dinner, Combs was trying to persuade her to attend the Burning Man festival with him. And to investigators, she previously said the dinner and alleged R occurred after Combs had returned from that year's Burning Man festival. And on cross, Cassie acknowledged the contradiction, confirming that Combs was trying to get her to go to Burning Man, but that she had told investigators the assault happened after he returned. So she just explained that. Now, real quick, I want to address something on this, because they're basically trying to say this alleged forced encounter was really consensual. And I just kind of want to point out for people who, a lot of you guys know this is kind of redundant, but I just want to put this out there. There is such a thing as like spousal, force, or partner, force. If she doesn't want to do it right then, you making her do it that's what that is. I mean, that's what is no is a complete sentence. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your partner married, not long term, it doesn't matter. If they don't want to, they don't want to. And that's for both sides. That's for both sides. So, anyways, just to put that there. Okay. Get these back up here. Hold on one second. I gotta find my picks. Where did they go? Is this what I'm putting back up here? Oh yeah, I'm putting this one up here just because it's funny. If you don't know what's behind this picture, like the story behind it, it's just funny, which is why I'm choosing to use this one. Again, if you're on TikTok, you can't see the pictures. Now, they exchanged warm messages even after their breakup and her marriage. She said that they continued to exchange warm personal messages well after their breakup, even after Cassie married her husband, Alex Fine, in 2019. In one message, Combs described Cassie as his ride or die always and called her one of the greatest women in the world. Cassie told him the messages blew my mind a bit. He added, "I don't hate you. I never have." In another exchange, Cassie acknowledged, "I wouldn't be at this beautiful point in my life if I hadn't been with you." The jury was shown several messages from 29, and to me that shows growth and maturity and understanding that sometimes you have to go through bad things to end up where you are, right? The jury was shown several text messages from 2019 and 2020. In March and May of 19, while Cassie was pregnant, Combs sent messages that read, "Sending you love. Congratulations, Cass. I'm truly happy for you. You're going to make a beautiful mother. God bless." And Cassie replied, "Thank you. God bless." Then in March of 2020, Combs reached out again, texting, "Miss my best friend. Hope you're well." Cassie responded by wishing him and his family well, to which Diddy replied, "Thank you so much for responding. It really means a lot more than you know. Sending you nothing but love and light always. Please know that I'm always here for you if you need me." In later messages, Combs admitted things had definitely been rough without your friendship. reaffirmed that he had nothing but love for you always. And Cassie responded that she never hated him and that she wouldn't be at her beautiful point without him. That was reiterated. Combs then wrote back with a long message saying, in part, tears of joy. I don't even know what to say. I hope you can forgive me. We're honestly lucky to be alive. God was watching over us. We went hard. He also told Cassie he was happy that she found someone who loves and respects her the way she deserves. He asked if they could set up time to meet, assuring her, I send this message with all respect for your marriage. However, they never met after that conversation. She said no, which means good for her. Look, I don't care what he says. He's a liar, right? I gotta have my bias. He's got, you know what I'm saying? You keep hitting up your ex. He can't stand somebody else being with them. I don't think that meeting would have gone well should it have happened. But that's just me. That's just me. Cassie then begins to talk about his kindness and how it never lasted, and his moods basically controlled her life. And this was during redirect. During redirect, Emily Johnson questioned Cassie about messages where she and Diddy had expressed love for each other. And this was the dialogue. Were there periods during which Sean was kind and loving? There were. Did those periods ever last? No. With Cassie adding, when Sean wasn't happy anymore, it affected everybody around him. When asked how his moods impacted her, Ventura responded, they affected my whole life. She elaborated that if Combs was in the mood for a freak off, her work would immediately take a back seat. That would mean my career not being paid attention to because I had to do other things. She then further testified that his moods always also distorted how she viewed herself. Throughout the relationship, I really just hung on to a lot of his words and everything he said, trusted his style and everything he was doing. But when he would put me down or make me feel lesser than, I was extra hard on myself. I was already on myself as it was. There was good, but there was a lot of negative too. Then we talked about the Instagram thing with the domestic violence already, so I don't think I need to re-talk about that. And then now let's talk about suing. So a lot of the things that has come out during this was that Cassie was having financial trouble before suing Diddy, and that was what this is about. And she addressed that in this because the defense kind of made, well, I'll kind of put it how this happened. The defense basically confronted her about it because she sued him back in November 23 because of financial trouble. That's what they were saying. The defense attorney noted that Cassie, her husband, and their children had moved in with her parents in Connecticut just before the lawsuit was filed. Cassie confirmed that they did move, but denied it was due to money, saying they had decided to relocate to the East Coast from Los Angeles. Cassie also confirmed she was preparing for a concert tour in Australia and New Zealand at the time, and Estavo claimed that she canceled the tour after securing the $20 million settlement from Combs within 24 hours of filing the lawsuit. Cassie just said that wasn't the reason why. Then, in going more into the redirect, prosecutor Emily Johnson asked Cassie about instances when Sean claimed he didn't remember physically abusing her. She testified that there were times when he blacked out and she could tell he was in that state, but also added there were times where he was pretty aware of what he was doing. It's just who he was. When people asked what she meant by that, or when asked what she meant by that, she explained that she had seen Combs be violent with other people, but I knew the difference because I had been around it. Then she talks about how she, during the redirect, talked about how Diddy stunted her music career. She testified that she couldn't do many of the things she wanted to do because of her forced participation in the freak-offs. She said, I quote, I had a whole other job. When asked what that job was, she said, basically an S worker. And real quick, fun fact on this, the defense requested a motion or, moved for that to be striked from the record. And the judge granted that strike, removing the words S worker from the record. But the jury still heard it loud and clear. So even though it's stricken from the record, the jury still heard it loud and clear. The jury was also shown a 2012 text thread between Cassie and someone on her management team discussing a potential opportunity, saying, is Puff okay with you doing a Common video? The message read, referring to the rapper, like a video with the rapper Common. Ventura replied with, I don't know, he'll probably say no, LOL. He later followed up to confirm Combs had said no to doing the video. She then had, again, a reminder, she testified, this was in redirect, that she did sign a 10-album deal with him and only one album was ever released. She also talks about the $20 million settlement, saying that she'd give the money back in an instant to erase the freak-offs from her life. She'd like, give that money back if I never had to have freak-offs. She apparently got very emotional during that and saying, if I never had to have freak offs, I would have had agency and autonomy, and I wouldn't have had to work so hard to get it back. Now, here's something that's new information that's pretty interesting. So she revealed in testimony that in addition to that $20 million, she confirmed that she recently reached a settlement with the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles where that surveillance footage captured her being violently assaulted back in 2016. The admission came during cross examination by the defense attorney, who asked her about any legal action she had taken against the hotel. She told the court she had finalized a settlement in the past month for roughly $10 million. The settlement stems from the now infamous March 16 incident where she was seen on hotel kicking, dragging, and attacking her in the hallway. And it doesn't say really anything specific as to why that went in, but I'm guessing it's because of them actively covering it up. One of their employees taking a bribe and actively covering it up. Because at that point it becomes, it's their thing, right? It's their thing. Prosecution also revisited some of the key testimony during cross. She walked Ventura through a prior testimony the defense had challenged, including the incident where the man claimed to have had explicit video of her, where she testified that she was feeling pressure from Sean, who ordered her to not let the man out of her sight. She said, quote, he just texted me quite a bit, called me quite a bit about it, so I felt like I had to handle it. Johnson then asked Ventura directly, do you have any doubt that Sean arred you? She said no. The prosecution also addressed the defense's suggestion that Cassie canceled a 2023 tour due to her civil settlement. She again denied that, saying the real reason was she felt overwhelmed by addressing the past the way she had chose to. That it was quite overwhelming, and I didn't want to be away from my kids at that time. I just didn't want to go. Finally, she revisited Ventura's exit from her Bad Boy Records contract. When asked to confirm the defense's claim that Combs let her out of the contract after their breakup, she had to clarify, I had to fight my way out of the contract. And she acknowledged that eventually she was able to break ties with the label. Now, from this point, Cassie has finished all testimony. And prosecution had a goal today to fit 2 more witnesses in. And spoiler alert, they succeeded in doing so. So let's talk about those witnesses real quick, because one of them, their testimony was 30 minutes. The other one was 45 minutes. And it's actually backwards. Homeland Security was 45 and Dawn was 30. So the next witness was Special Agent Yassine Binda, who's an agent with Homeland Security Investigations working in the Human Trafficking Division. She confirmed she handled the logistics for Diddy's arrest on September 16th, 2024, including searching the room at the Park Hyatt Hotel in New York where Combs was staying at the time of his arrest. The jury was we don't have photos of these yet. I don't know if we will, but the jury saw photos of images that were taken by Binda on the search of that hotel room following his arrest. The photos showed the expansive suite, including Ziploc bags, like not bottles, Ziploc bags filled with Johnson's baby oil and lubricant. These bags were recovered from an entryway closet. More bottles of baby oil and lubricant were found in the bathroom and other areas of the room. They described the collected oils, and the jury was shown the photos. Sorry, this thing's going. The jury also saw a photo of a lighting device located in the living room, which was described as potentially mood lighting. There was a bottle of medication with the name Frank Black that was found in a Louis Vuitton bag on the nightstand in the bedroom. The label on the bottle identified the medication as a clonazepam, which is a benzo for people who don't know. Inside another bottle of medication was found on the nightstand. Inside another bottle of medication found on the nightstand, there were 2 little bags with pink powder in them. According to a stipulation report that was read, one bag tested positive for ketamine. The other tested positive for both MDMA and ketamine. The jury also saw photos of a black fanny pack hanging off the bed in his hotel room that had $9,000 in cash inside of it. The jurors saw that fanny pack. At the prosecutor's request, they took the money out. Okay, took the cash out of the fanny pack, which is now in an evidence bag, and fanned it for the jury to see. The agent also testified that it appears a woman was staying with Combs. So during cross examination by defense attorney Tenny Garagos, she testified that it appeared a woman was staying with Combs in the Manhattan hotel room prior to his arrest. Being to confirm that observation based on what was found in the room, her testimony concluded and she was dismissed from the stand. So that was her testimony. Next, we have, this was a long-awaited one. Again, if you're on TikTok, you can't see the pictures. But that's okay. Dawn Richard. This has been highly anticipated. Some of the members of Danity Kane. Remember, Aubrey O'Day is supposed to testify, I believe, next week as well. She came to the stand as the last witness for the day. She worked for Sean between 2004 and 2011. She was part of the MTV reality show Making the Band, which launched Danity Kane. She later joined his group, Diddy Dirty Money. When asked to identify Combs in the court, she pointed directly at him, noted he was wearing a cream-colored sweater. She said she has known Combs as Puff. The people who know him back in the day just know him as Puff or Puff Daddy. She testifies she witnessed him physically attack Ventura in 2009, saying that this was at his home while she was there recording, saying, quote, he came downstairs screaming, belligerent, asking where his food was, and proceeded to hit her over the head, kicked her, and beat her to the ground in front of us. Richard said Combs then dragged Cassie upstairs by her hair with his arm around her neck. From upstairs, she testified she heard glass breaking and yelling. And then she goes on to explain why she did not intervene or report the abuse. She admitted that she did not call the police or intervene. She said she was scared to do anything in fear of what that might mean for me too. She added that she didn't say anything at the time because she was afraid of the retaliation. Also, she has previously sued Combs for alleged abuse. She previously filed a lawsuit against him in 2024, accusing him of physical abuse, groping, and psychological abuse in the years they worked together. Now, that is where things left off. That was it, right? Court is adjourned for the week. And a quick heads up, I'll be out of town next week. So the trial recaps will come once a day as full day summaries instead of the multiple updates. So that'll be on YouTube. I will, of course, go live on TikTok and Instagram while we do that. But it'll be once a week, once a day at the end of the day. And if there's anything big happens, of course, I'll make shorts, reels, and TikToks on those, probably from Disney or Universal. So fun for, well, Disney mainly. So anyways, that's what we have, guys. It has been a hell of a week with this. A lot. Like Cassie was on that. I don't even know how many hours she was on that stand testifying with this, but it was a lot. It's a lot of stress to put under anybody, much less somebody 8.5 months pregnant. Somebody asked if Aubrey will be next. Probably. I don't know if they're done with Dawn at this point. They might have just finished for prosecution. She might still be needing cross-examination. Guys, we're gonna keep going on this. We have 7 more weeks of this to go. 7 more weeks, and then we have a quick break, and then we got Koberger coming up, right? So some big things going. I have some big things working on the pipeline that's going to be really interesting for you guys once we get those set down. So I mean, stay tuned. A lot's happening. Now, do me a solid, everybody. First of all, TikTok, don't go away. I'm going to be right back with you guys. As far as Instagram and YouTube go, please hit that follow/subscribe button. It is free. If you came in late on either one of those, any of these platforms, this whole entire recap is on YouTube. The midday recap is on YouTube. So if you missed all of these, they're here. And I've tried to condense them a little bit more because they started to get a little long, and I know everybody doesn't have time for that. And there's also going to be the recaps on Substack as well for those of you who would prefer to read. That being said, you guys have a great, I'll say, Dan, are you in here? Real quick, Dan, are you in an Instagram? Before you go. Sorry, gotta do something. I wish we could have more. Missing. Is he in here? Go to Insta if you can. Dan's the only mod I have there. Hold on, we're gonna handle something real quick. I don't know if he's there. Okay, my mod is here. Dan is here. Dan, do you see who you need to block out? Okay, I don't know if you can see it. It's Halatanya who says, "I don't give an F about Cassie or the rest of them as them lying as women." Get rid of that person. Get rid of that person. They're not welcome here anymore. I said person. I don't know if it's a woman. Yeah, get rid of that person if you see her. I'm not going to sign off till you do because I want them blocked. Again, we're not tolerating that here. We're not tolerating that here. We don't tolerate victim shaming, victim blaming, and we don't tolerate expletives being used to describe people or say something. There is no muting. There is no warning. That is block. I don't block a lot of people, but that is how you are not welcome to be a follower of mine if that's how you feel. I don't want you as a follower. I don't need you as a follower if that's how you feel. So anyways. So hopefully Dan got rid of them. I can't tell. I know you keep saying you're here. So hopefully you got that. Okay, it's a little bit behind. A little bit behind lagging. But yeah, get rid of that person. I'm sure you probably did. Anyways, I have to mod him again on Insta? Okay, then I'm gonna remember the name, and I'm gonna do it myself when I get off of here. Alright, guys. Sorry. We have to do that sometime. You guys have a great rest of the day. I hope y'all have a good day, good weekend. I don't see you guys again. I may be back on live later. Who knows? Um, love all of y'all. Follow along, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to be back next week with more Diddy stuff. Bye, everyone.